Hello, hello. Austin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you. How are we doing?
Doing good, doing good. Hope you're doing good as well.
Doing well. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, nice. I guess it's morning where you're at now.
Yep, yep. 9 a.m. Where are y'all?
Cool. I'm based in Malaysia, so it's like close to midnight for me.
Oh, damn. Well, thank you for staying up late.
No worries. I mean, thanks for the early morning as well.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I think,
What's the format? Are we I think is it all in a Zoom call? Is it live on Twitter? Is it yeah, how's this work?
yeah, so it's in this Zoom call. We'll record it as well and
Cool.
post it up later so that people can watch it.
Great.
Like,
Great.
yeah, post this as well. So I guess I'll
And
just
then it,
um
it go ahead, sorry.
oh no, yeah, I was just saying I'll just kickstart like just very short,
Okay.
and then you can sort of take us through what you wanted to present, and then if the audience has
Sure.
questions, we can do a quick Q&A and then like just end it after that.
Cool. Yeah, sounds great. And yeah, I'm open, and I'll say this at the when we get started, maybe we already are started, that definitely open for questions and stuff along the way. Like this is I don't have like just like a scripted thing to give here. I will deliver the information I have, but I'm definitely like open for questions and looking to just hear from builders, hear where they're stuck, hear what they need. So yeah, sorry. I can give that intro again if we need to, but thank you for having me. You did start us off whenever you need.
Cool. Yeah, I guess we can just sort of kickstart here, and I guess we have quite a few people in already, and I guess the rest will just join in as we go along. But yeah, very warm welcome to everyone. This is our second sort of virtual hackathon. This time around, we're doing this in collaboration with the Ethereum Foundation. And AI, of course, is a core priority for both Virtuals and Ethereum. At Virtuals, of course, we have our agentic sort of communication framework, or ACP. And at Ethereum, of course, I guess you guys recently announced your decentralized AI team. So lots of big stuff there. And I guess it's something you guys are thinking about a lot as well. Um, so yeah, I'll just kickstart. We can just head straight to it. We have Austin Griffith here from the Ethereum Foundation to share a bit on why founders should be thinking about building on Ethereum. So Austin, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, heck yeah. So, yeah, what's up? I'm Austin Griffith. I'm from the EF. I focus on developer growth. Let me even maybe share my screen too. This is such a good splash screen. I hate to take it away, but let me uh, let me display a desktop here. There we go. You got me? Yeah, this is us here. Okay, cool. So first of all, like it would be great if you guys have questions to just ask the questions. Also, you can probably just unmute your mic and ask, or you could drop it in the chat. I think I got the chat here. Let me drop a GM in the chat, GM in the chat, GM. I'll drop some links there as I go also. So Ethereum is a platform to build on right now. There's so many cool things you can do on chain, and it's been a lot of DeFi, right? It's been a lot of liquidity. We see a lot of capital formation on chain, but there are so many new things coming out and so many things that are kind of pushing the boundaries of what we know and love. And one of those is AI and AI agents. So it's cool to see the protocol holding a virtuals protocol holding a hackathon. And we just want to see more people building more cool things and see people shipping things. I think one of the biggest things I want to see is more apps on chain and more people using those apps. We should see so many more, and we just haven't seen as much. I've been making a big bet, and I'll talk about Scaffold ETH in a little while on apps, and we just haven't seen that many apps. And I think one of the reasons is just like the UX. The UX of crypto is really hard, and I think that's also an opportunity for AI. I think AI may be the new UI, right? Instead of all of the things you need to do to make a transaction to swap, there's so many complicated things. It takes 12-word seed phrases and uh, uh, approve transactions and all these things that you need to do to make a wallet, make a swap. You could just say swap ETH to DAI, and an AI agent can just handle that for you. So I think AI may be the new UI. I think AI agents are doing so many new things that people basically they're allowing new products, right? I think we're at this cool point where uh, on Ethereum, it's getting cheaper and faster thanks to L2s. I think Virtuals is on Base, right? So Base, we'll use Base as an example. It's like, a fraction of a cent to make a transaction on Base. That means that a lot of new apps can be deployed to Base. So you've got this kind of like opening up of ideas and things that can have product market fit because it's cheaper and faster to deploy to Base. Along with that, you've got AI, and AI is just like, really taking over the mind share right now. And you can use AI agents to power your app or to be the interface for your app. So certain apps that were too expensive can now be deployed to L2s. Certain apps that needed, an army of a workforce to be able to work, you can now have, a team of AI agents running it. I was just on a call just now where we were doing idea pitching, and almost all the ideas that were pitched are ideas that you couldn't do 2 years ago, but you can do now because of AI agents. One example is just like insurance co-op. If you wanted to build one of those, you need like a bunch of people that understand really closely the odds of certain things happening. And I think if you have a swarm of AI agents that are running statistical analysis, building, mechanisms that help you understand the statistics, kind of trying to figure out all the like gaming all the things and getting all the possibilities. And then you use blockchain as kind of like the payment rails and the mechanism of lending and borrowing or insuring. There's a lot of neat things you can do with a combination of those two. So, Ethereum is for AI, and I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about how you can bring these two technologies together that really work well with each other. And I would say that like there's like a third cool technology that's coming up here, and that's like zero knowledge proofs and ZK, and that gives you more privacy, right? I think the combination of all three of these things are going to be really, really interesting. And I would look at ZK and ZK proofs and using ZK for privacy on top of Ethereum and along with your AI setup. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe the perfect idea is like a Venn diagram with all three of those things and it's right in the middle. But the perfect idea is the one that people use. Do whatever you got to do to ship the app to main to get people to use it and get more users on chain. I think that's the critical piece here is get people to use the thing. And maybe that's a good transition here, just like advice I have for builders. So much of my time building on Ethereum was spent just like in a hole, isolated, building my own. Like I built a game at first and I tried to launch that game and no one cared, right? I spent a lot of time not talking to customers. I spent a lot of time building the thing that I love to build instead of building the thing that I needed to build and then getting it in front of people and getting feedback. So that's like my big push here is build a bunch of things, show them off, get feedback, and that's what we're here to do with a hackathon. Lots of GMs in the chats, no questions yet. If you have any questions, unmute or just like throw it in the chat. I'm open. This is kind of like open office hours here. So yeah, a good resource for building on Ethereum is of course ethereum.org, and I'll drop that in the chat. I think that oh, maybe I can't drop it in the chat. Oh wait, yes, everyone, there we go. I don't really need to drop ethereum.org. I'm sure you guys could find ethereum.org, but I'll drop my links in the chat as I go. Really great resource. Whether you're just setting up, the first thing you probably need to do is go get a wallet. If you don't have a wallet, I really like Rainbow. Rainbow.me is a really fun wallet. It's not great for test nets, but here's the thing: you don't need test nets anymore. You can go deploy over and over and over and over again to base, and it's going to cost you like less than $1. So that's my first spicy take for the day. Stop using test nets. Just start YOLOing everything to uh, uh, base or some other L2. Great first question there. Yes. Okay. So once you've got a wallet, you're going to be off to the races. You're going to be building some stuff. You can get in here and learn to build. The question was about EIP or ERC 4008. Really cool ERC that's coming out. And explain in a simple matter. I wish I could, but I can only give you like my high level take here. I can't like I wish I knew more about how this works, but if you think about it, if you have all these agents, they're going to need a way to trust each other. They're going to need a way to communicate with each other. They're going to need a way to pay each other. And trust and payment happens really smoothly on blockchain. So I think that and a specific thing is that we see a lot of people deploying. So first, canonical information. Anytime you need to like just like post like something that you need to be alive forever, you can write it right into a smart contract, and that smart contract is going to be alive forever. Anyone can get to it. Anyone with a node anywhere in the world can just go ask it for that information and get it. But it's very expensive to store things on a blockchain. But if you need to put like canonical information up, you can just like put it in a smart contract and deploy it to Ethereum, and it's going to be there for longer than you and not even you can destroy it, which is kind of an interesting effect there. Yeah, David from the AI lead, the new Ethereum Foundation team, super bullish. I am super bullish on David and the whole AI team at the EF, and it's growing now. I think if you're a big AI nerd, go look at those jobs. I think probably on the Ethereum Foundation website, there's a place where you can go apply. But 8004, I think is, and like I'm not a genius. I think it is like a big registry, right? If you there's like an identity registry, a reputation registry, a validation registry. A lot of these are just like big phone books, right? Imagine it, man, maybe phone book is like a bad analogy. That maybe like people don't use phone books anymore either, right? Yeah, like yellow pages, someone said. Basically, it's like a big registry where you can register that you have this agent that can do things, right? And then there's like a reputation registry that's talking about like, did you do the things well? And a validation registry that proves that you did do the things well, right? And so and that's like my 50,000 foot view of this. There's a much probably better explanation of this. But if you think about it like that, where this is just kind of a thin layer of who is who and what can they do and how well have they done it in the past on chain, right? So you have all these agents that are doing all these things off chain, but they need a way to register with each other. And Google could do that, right? Google could do that in a database, but is Microsoft going to trust Google's database and vice versa, right? So this is kind of like this credibly neutral, censorship resistant, non-tamperable database or registry of who are all the AI agents, what can they do, and how well have they done it so far. And that's what this standard is for. And so yeah, look at payments, look at this registry. You can go through and see it here. It's I think pretty complex if you're not into reading ERCs and EIPs. Uh, but yeah, that's my high level, and I bet there's like a much. If you go follow Marco on Twitter, he's always got a lot of good information. I think I'm talking to him soon. He's a great person to follow, and also David is killing it. So and I don't know who Jordan is, but go Jordan. You're maybe I do know you. I don't know. But yes, check out 8004. Great EIP, ERC. It's like making it into weird corners of the earth that haven't ever heard of blockchain before. Even people are talking about 8004 for some reason, and I think that's really cool. I think that shows that this combination of Ethereum and AI really has this like multiplicative effect. So definitely check out 8004. Hopefully that is like a dumbed down answer. It's a phone book for AI agents along with like a reputation of how well they've done. Like the yellow pages is a good idea. Or even like, I don't know, what were some of those like yellow page like websites back in the day where not only could you like go find a plumber, but you could see like a plumber's like how many stars does this plumber have and what are the reviews of that plumber? Basically that, but for AI agents, and it has to be global and it has to be trustless and no one can tamper with it. Let's see, dumb question. Implementing 8004 isn't a must-have. No, it is definitely not a must-have. This is just like a random ERC that is like kind of like stirring up interest. I don't know what the exact like must-haves here. Uh, One thing that I will lean into also from the virtual program is to go check out the ACP Tech Playbook. Let me paste that in here too. I would say that's more virtuals aligned. So go check out that. I'll paste in the EIP of 8004, but definitely not a requirement here. It's more of a interesting thing that's emerging. What are the must-haves for this hackathon? I don't even know the answer to that. I haven't been following the exact rules of the hackathon. Maybe hit the website. Yeah, check out the FAQ. That's what I would answer. But I would say you're probably going to need to write some code and build some cool things, probably around AI agents. Oh, cool. You got Natter as a judge. Go Natter. Awesome. Okay. Sorry, I don't have a better answer to that. Maybe Matthew, do you want to jump in on that? Like any hard requirements for this hackathon?
Hey, yep, let me jump in here.
Hell
I
yeah.
put the link as well to the full project guidelines in the chat. So you guys can check it out for more info. But basically, yeah, just build on Ethereum and L1 or L2. Include some form of AI or AI agents in it. I think that's pretty much the main thing, really. Yeah. And we're
Hell
just
yeah.
for new ideas and cool stuff.
And like you're not making the agent on chain, right? These models are super complex. They need tons of computing power. You're not going to run that in the EVM, right? Think of the EVM as this nice little coordination layer that's expensive to use, but is censorship resistant and, always on and no one can tamper with it. So it works really well for like a little yellow pages. That's what this standard is about. But maybe it's something else. Maybe you want to create like a marketplace and someone has a need and another person has a bunch of agents and your job is to help them coordinate, right? What we find, and this is a good time to go to Speedrun Ethereum. This is a curriculum of ours, and what we find when we're teaching this is uh, people when they're building on Ethereum, one of the first aha moments is that since it is like this expensive coordination mechanism, you're not building a single player game, right? You're building a massive multiplayer game from the start, and those players that are playing that game are actually people who don't trust each other, I think. So think about this as like, what would I need to build where there's multiple parties and you need to think of it almost like there's a two-sided market. There's some supply, there's some demand, and you're basically just building the thing that helps them coordinate. Uh, Early examples of this are like AMMs and marketplaces like OpenSea, where someone has an NFT, someone wants to buy an NFT, you're allowing them to make that happen with a smart contract completely permissionlessly, right? You're allowing people that don't really like the staking app, I think is a really good challenge on Speedrun Ethereum. Even before you start the hackathon, you might want to jump in and just like take on this challenge. It will take you, not very long. What does it say? 3 to 8 hours max, and you could probably do it in one if you're fast. You could probably do it in 30 minutes if you're super fast. I want to see someone speed run the speed run. But in this staking challenge, which is still beginner level, you're going to deploy a smart contract that allows a bunch of people to stake money in on buying something else, right? Let's say we wanted to get a whole bunch of people together to buy a crypto punk or to buy a car or something like that. It's still not a good example. A car is like a single player activity, right? Let's think of something how about like a whole neighborhood wants to chip in to buy some playground equipment for the neighborhood, right? Again, I'm like talking about yellow pages. I'm an old man. Y'all are super young. You're getting out there and building things. You don't care about building playground equipment. You probably just got off the playground equipment. But let's imagine that a neighborhood wants to build some playground equipment, right? And the neighborhood can't any individual in that neighborhood can't just go buy it. They can only chip in on some of it. But here's the thing, they also don't trust each other. This is a neighborhood of people that hate each other, but they want some playground equipment, right? So what you would do is you would set up a smart contract and you would write the rules correctly, right? You're building an app that allows people to coordinate. And they don't trust each other. So what needs to happen is people chip in their money and it's kind of like a state machine. There's sort of like this period of deposit where people can be depositing funds, and your smart contract is keeping track of who has deposited what. And then you've got some like total you're keeping track of. And if you get enough money together, then you have like a second phase where you go buy that playground equipment and get it set up. But if you don't get enough money together, you need to have a withdrawal period where you allow people to get their money back. And this is super critical. You need to build this mechanism so lots of people can chip in. No one can get their money stolen and no one can get their money locked, right? If you don't have a success, if people aren't able to coordinate, people need to all get their money back. And so you need to build the smart contract to do that. And while this is a very simple example and a little bit abstract, this is exactly the kind of things that you use blockchain for, these sort of like coordination mechanisms, these massively multiplayer games that people who don't trust each other can play to have some like overall greater than the sum of the parts kind of thing that happens from that. Or even if it is like, you know, peer to peer, you're allowing people who have a supply and it's people who have a demand to meet in the middle and do some marketplace like thing. Let's say you wanted to use AI agents to figure out what the best open source piece of software is to fund or something like that, right? Like you would have kind of a there's like a two-sided market. There's like builders on one side, there's funders on another side, and the AI agents need to get in and discover which builders have the most users, which builders are shipping the most, and then allocate funding from those funders to those builders. Or maybe you want to use AI agents. I used the insurance example earlier. You can use them to evaluate all sorts of different situations, simulate all sorts of situations. So, what I'm really leaning into here is that you are not building a single player game. You're not even building a multiplayer game of people who trust each other. You're building a multiplayer game for people that don't trust each other, an adversarial group of players, right? And once you start using that mental model, you'll really start to thrive in the blockchain space and think more critically about these things that you're building and like why does it need blockchain? Of course, just like there's a lot of token hype and selling tokens. You can sell a token and sometimes that token pumps and dumps and it gets crazy value simply because of speculation and not because of some kind of utility. I think this is only a small piece, and while it's kind of hot right now, I don't think it's going to have like long-term life. But know that you can like build tokens that have utility and good mechanisms built into them that have long-term value. And tokenizing things isn't going to go away, right? We're going to see RWAs, we're going to see things getting tokenized. So the tokenization of the world is happening. I just don't think that like pump and dumps are going to survive forever. But whenever you tokenize a new thing, sometimes people want to rush in and buy it because they think they can, you know, buy early and sell or buy low, sell high kind of thing. Uh, the next challenge on Speedrun Ethereum, did I paste it in there? Yeah, you've got Speedrun Ethereum. Go through this, go Speedrun Ethereum. You can deploy these on an L2. There's a dice game that teaches you about randomness. If you're trying to build randomness into your game, it's particularly tricky on a public deterministic blockchain. And then the DEX. I think the DEX is like the first final boss. You need to write your own DEX. You need to learn how the price function works. You need to learn how a decentralized exchange works. But before we had DEXs, we basically had centralized exchanges, and those had points of failure, right? Now, if we think of like an order book system, where it's still smart contracts and these orders are being signed and then executed on chain. Even though it's using a blockchain, there's still this order book that's off chain and it's collecting signatures in a database. And that database can fall over, that front end can fall over. There's a lot of reasons why a half blockchain, half not blockchain system is awesome and you can get a lot more users. But also, there's centralization, and centralization leads to kind of two things like corruption, like people can change things, people can censor things, and also just like downtime, like that machine can fall over. When you build something that's decentralized, there's never going to be downtime, and no one's going to be able to censor it or change it or tamper with it. And I think those properties are particularly awesome in like this global software world where we have the Googles and Microsofts of the world, but also like lots of little players, and we all need to be able to operate on the same playing field. So building a DEX like helps you create like this first, if you haven't heard the word hyperstructure, yeah, it's a good one. Look up hyperstructure. But this is like building your first hyperstructure, basically making this kind of credibly neutral rails for people to coordinate that also has like a fee mechanism built in that has this expansive kind of vibe to it, where as people are swapping, they're leaving a little bit of money behind. And so the people who LP and provide the reserves to make these swaps work are actually earning a little bit of funding. They're earning some fees on their investment, basically. So there's the LPs that are making fees, and then there's the users that are swapping between those. And the person who deploys the DEX doesn't actually do any of those things. They just kind of make the hardware. They put the rule set out there. They put the coordination mechanism out there and let people provide liquidity and let other people swap between that liquidity. And they build it in a way where the people who are supplying the liquidity are earning fees, so they're incentivized to provide that liquidity. And therefore, with those incentives, the swaps within the DEX are better. The more reserves, the better the swaps, the less the slippage. And that's a big lesson you'll learn when you build your first hyperstructure and build your first DEX. If you haven't just like straight up written a DEX from scratch and put it on an L2 and swapped between it, you should do it. And I know everyone on this call is like, I can do that. I've done that before. It's nothing. You really haven't. Like, you haven't until you've actually put it on. Like, link me the smart contract that you've deployed on main or on a mainnet L2 that is a DEX that I can swap on. And then I will believe you that you can do it. Like, even if you think you can do it, they're going to learn some things by going out and shipping it and putting it on main. You've got to put stuff on mainnet. You got to put stuff on an L2 mainnet to really learn like some of the final lessons. Some of the final bosses are there. So then once you're at this point, you can ship lots of things. It's time to start working on building your own protocol. Check out over collateralized lending. Really good insight here about how lending works on chain. You basically have some extra collateral and then you get a loan on that collateral. And there's a mechanism right there, right? There's this really important mechanism that says if your collateral is ever worth less than like 120% or something of your loan, someone needs to push a button and liquidate it so the platform never goes underwater, right? If the platform ever goes underwater, then you're screwed. Like, your protocol can never go underwater. It's always got to be, black on the balance sheet. And so what you do is, if you're lending people money and the stuff that you've lent them somehow has more value than the stuff that you have in-house, you're in big trouble. So as that starts to get close, you need to have a mechanism where it can be liquidated. And it's not just you. You don't run a bunch of your bots that do the liquidation, right? What you do is you create the rules so anyone can liquidate. And what that does is create this nice decentralized system. Even if you are asleep and all of your bots are down and your whole system is down, that smart contract is still up and the rules are written correctly so anyone can liquidate. And therefore, your protocol never goes underwater because the incentives are all aligned and you're running this liquidation. So I know with there's not a lot of like AI stuff here yet. We'll kind of get to that, but these are really important concepts for building on chain and helping you understand what kinds of things you put on chain, not just like pattern matching. This works in Web 2, so let's deploy it to a blockchain. Let's add blockchain to this. You really need to know like where you need blockchain and what the blockchain does. And going back to this like trustless agents ERC, right? They're not, it's just a registry. It's just like a yellow pages for agents. Like, who are the agents? What can they do? And how well have they done that so far, right? A very simple layer of coordination around a whole bunch of very advanced apps. Yeah, what is batch 21 on the speed run? Yes. Yeah, if you go through speedrun Ethereum and you get like this far, you're going to end up in a batch program. And we have a batch program on Telegram. It's like 30 or 40 people. We have some extra challenges. We help you, just get some extra stuff deployed, make sure you have good Git etiquette, all the things that you need to get like to the point where you're ready to start shipping apps. So we have like a more hands-on batch program. Hopefully that answers that question. But yeah, batch 21 is starting soon. And if you want to get in those batches, you got to go do the speed run. Go to speedrunethereum.com. Okay, so once you know collateralized, over collateralized lending, you can take that mechanism and the liquidation mechanism and add another mechanism, which is a stable coin. So a stable coin is basically all of that plus another mechanism that has a certain price that keeps a certain token at a certain price. And as we know, stable coins have really taken off recently, but you can go learn in Challenge 6 how to build your own stable coin at speedrunethereum.com. And then we start getting weird, right? Prediction markets. I think AI agents and prediction markets are definitely going to be a huge thing. I think that the participants mostly in prediction markets are going to be AI agents. So I think the intersection of AI agents and prediction markets is particularly interesting. I think in terms of lending, over collateralized lending kind of already works on chain, but under collateralized lending with a set of agents figuring out which loans are good loans to give and which loans are bad loans to give. There's something there. There's a hint of like product market fit, but I think prediction markets with agents predicting things, like basically running simulations, deciding how they think an outcome is going to be, looking at what the current market is for that outcome. And then if it's too far away from their prediction, they buy in on it. And then if they're correct, then they make money. And you just do that on repeat. So I think prediction markets are a really interesting protocol mechanism. I don't know. They were very interesting in the election this year in the United States. But check out prediction markets. You can build your own. There's a little green car and a little red car, and they race each other. And you're building the smart contract that lets people bet on, is it the green car or the red car that's going to win? And you can see how the liquidity changes. And if the green car gets out ahead of the red car, then you could see like more people are buying the green car is going to win. Very, very neat mechanism. Then I think I mentioned this already, ZK voting. I didn't even know this was on the website. The speedrun Ethereum, oh, it says coming soon. So it's not quite there yet, but there's a ZK voting app, which is really cool, doing voting in private, right? Oracles is a nice kind of side quest to do. Other things like a multi-sig wallet, a much better way to custody your funds. I showed rainbow.me earlier. This is a great like self-custody hot wallet, but you need to have a slow wallet. You need to have a cold wallet. You need to have a multi-sig. The current best solution for that is the Gnosis Safe. If you have, more than a few $1,000s in your hot wallet, you should be thinking about getting a Gnosis Safe and put that money in a Gnosis Safe instead and have multiple signers, right? What you want is if your 12-word seed phrase is leaks or you lose it, it's sort of gone forever. What you want to have is multiple different custody models mixed in a multi-sig. And if one of them leaks, you still need 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 9 signatures to make a transaction work. And that's when a multi-sig is really useful. How about an AI agent driven multi-sig, right? What if you have a protocol that has a bunch of AI agents that act as resets or act as signers on someone's wallet, and they say, I want to swap this to that. And the AI agents validate, like, is that person the one that's saying it? Is this a swap that is okay? Can I propose that transaction to the multi-sig? There's a lot of interesting things that you could use AI agents for with multi-sigs. And there's lots of stuff down here. We have a tech tree. We have a capture the flag. Find us at Dev Connect in Buenos Aires. We're going to have an awesome CTF. Let me just pull that up. CTF.buildguild.com. We're going to have a capture the flag. We're going to give away some money to some great Solidity developers. We're going to have kind of some Solidity challenges for you, where you'll have to deploy a handful of contracts to talk to our contracts and solve a bunch of puzzles. So if you're a great builder, definitely check out the CTF from Build Guild. Lots of shilling here. I'm an expert shiller. I've been doing this for years. But most important thing is go participate in his Virtuals Hackathon and go build awesome things. These things that I'm showing you are just like educational steps to get you ready so you can ship to this hackathon. And the other thing I would say is just like stop playing sponsorship bingo. When you go to these hackathons, yes, there's going to be sponsors. Yes, there's going to be money to win, but don't just do it for the money to win. You need to be launching a protocol or a project. Your goal should not be getting money. It should be getting users on chain. Like build an app that people use and build real things that people need. And maybe people don't even know what they need yet, right? Faster horses. Give them the car. Like deploy the car on chain and get people using it. Build things that people use. Go beyond the hackathon. Build something cool at the hackathon, but go beyond the hackathon. Found a project. Get serious. Get out of your shell and out of your bubble. Find a co-founder. For developers, I think for a long time I was kind of allergic to the idea guy. You gotta find an idea guy. You gotta have that co-founder energy. So if you're a dev that's building lots of cool things, find someone that's really good at doing BD and doing marketing and having ideas and get together and start shipping a bunch of things at a bunch of hackathons until you find something that resonates and people start using it. Let's see. Yes, build something useful and users will come, sort of. You gotta, yeah, Matthew, that's great. You gotta also like market it, right? Like you can't just like build something and expect a bunch of people to show up. You've got to get it in front of people. You've got to try to like draw people in. You've got to constantly like get it out into places. But also if you do that and you constantly show it off and people aren't using it, your idea sucks. And you need to go back to the drawing board and build more things and be able to face the reality. If people aren't using your thing and you've gotten it in front of enough people, yeah, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, so build cool things, I think is the point that I'm trying to get to. Ethereum.org is a good place to start. Speedrun Ethereum is a good place to kind of just like really what you need to do is build a bunch of things and ship a bunch of things to really figure out how to build on Ethereum. If you're building your first thing for the first time, that's awesome. You're probably not going to hit a grand slam on the first try. You really need to swing at the ball many, many, many times. So Speedrun Ethereum just gets you in the habit of shipping a bunch of things and exposes you to a bunch of concepts and things. Dig into this ACP playbook that I posted here. Dig into the 8004 standard. Okay, so now I think I probably will build something real quick with Scaffold ETH. I want to show how AI powers Scaffold ETH. It's a framework for building decentralized apps. We can ship something to Base or any other L2. I think Base is the L2 for virtuals, so that's probably where I'll ship. But let's see. Anybody have any questions? Put it into the chat. I'm gonna kind of get started with this. Actually, what I want to do even before I ship an app here is I want to do like a little vibe check here. I've vibe coded a little voting app. So I have this machine called the Slop computer that allows me to vibe code live, and it's an SSH. I SSH in and then vibe code something. So basically, what I did is I said, deploy a simple app that asks how's the vibe, lets people vote good and bad. So what you can do if you're at home, scan this QR code with your phone and go vote. Basically, you should be able to scan this. It should take you to, look, people are voting already. You should be able to vote on the vibes. But this is a centralized app, and I'll show you why in just a second. First of all, there's no civil resistance, and your votes are public. So there's kind of an elephant in the room. If you were trying to hold a presidential election, this would not work. But the thing that I'm trying to show, even before all of that, is centralization and the problems with centralization. So first of all, like this thing could just go down, right? Like I could accidentally, this is on some box out on AWS. It could just fall over, right? If enough of you vote, it could just fall over. I could accidentally fat finger something and just kill it. So there's a lot of ways why the vote could just get messed up just because it's centralized and either I mess it up or I want to stop it. But there's an even bigger problem here, and that's censorship. When people talk about censorship, in first world countries, like we don't really deal with a lot of censorship. We have freedom of speech mostly. We don't see a lot of censorship, but censorship is really important in a lot of places in the world. So I try to use this as like an obvious, like how simple this is. But if you've noticed, there's no bad vibes. And you guys, come on, there's got to be some bad vibes. And if you vote bad vibes, there's a reason why. It gives you some like some silly error. Bad vibes blocked by the firewall. Cast your vote. That's why it's only good vibes because I'm censoring. I basically prompted this thing to say, if they vote for bad vibes, then let's censor that, right? Let's give them some nondescript error. And so therefore, only good vibes are winning here, but it's only because of some serious censorship on my side. So this was a vibe coded app that I made. Really easy to do. If you haven't done any vibe coding yet, you should be using Claude and Cursor or Claude Code or any of those. There's even some decentralized ones out there. Start using those. They're just gonna like 10x your work. And so to lean into that, let's go build something real quick with Scaffold ETH. At this point, I'm done with my rant. We've got maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Q&A. What I'm going to do is just get started. And what I want to do is just like maybe go build this voting platform, but I'll build it on chain. And really what I should do is build something that's like more agent based. Maybe as we get into this, I can think of some. Another thing I was thinking of building is like, what if we had an app that runs in the cloud. Maybe I spin up an EC2 instance and I control that EC2 instance from a smart contract. So imagine there's a smart contract, and whatever command is in the smart contract is what the command that the agent runs on the machine. And that's just like a prototype. And then what you do is you say, whoever spends the most money can control this agent. There's this agent that no one can stop that's running in the cloud, and it's doing whatever the smart contract tells it, right? Again, the smart contract is this thin little layer. It's kind of like this little registry of like, and maybe even like a little financial market, right? There's a market there that's saying whoever pays the most can then tell my agent to do a job, and my agent will do a job. And maybe we'll build something like that. I don't know. Let me get this started because it's gonna take a minute to install. What is this? VIR to virtuals demo, right? Something like that. Okay, so Scaffold ETH, real quick, is an app building platform. Let me paste it in here. If you guys are building things on chain, especially things with front ends, Scaffold ETH is the fastest way to do that. Like straight up, it's the fastest way to build an app that's backed by a smart contract. And what it is a framework that has Hard Hat or Foundry, and it also has Next.js, and it has those things all wired together. So basically, I can choose Hard Hat or Foundry there. The cracked nerds will all choose Foundry. I think I happen to just choose Hard Hat there randomly, but you can pick either one. All the commands are going to be the same in here. Uh, but what you do is you have a smart contract that's talking to a front end, and everything is already wired up. So if you want to come in here and build that voting app that we just saw, you could land in Scaffold ETH, you could bring it up, and you could say, build a voting app that asks a question, how's the vibe, with the answers good or bad? There should be no owner. No one should be able to censor it. And then hit go, and this thing will create that. This thing will one-shot that app with the smart contract and the front end. I've done that demo a million times before. What I'm thinking is maybe we could do something a little different. I kind of like this, like run an agent in off chain that kind of like does whatever it's told. I kind of like that idea. And then like anyone can like control it with a smart contract. Maybe we'll build something like that. I only have maybe 10 minutes to do this, so we can't really go too far. But let's get this started up. Okay, so there were some questions in the chat. Let's see. With a lot of the new players in the market, why do you think that Ethereum is especially suited for deploying AI agents? I think maybe it's not particularly I mean, it's the best platform for building apps because of the tooling and the community and everything else around it. Ethereum is the easiest blockchain platform to build on, like straight up, hands down. It's the best platform because it has the best DevRels, the best documentation, the best tooling. When you go to deploy a smart contract on Ethereum, it is a smoother uh, experience than on any other chain. Because it's been around for a while, because a lot of people have contributed to it. So maybe not even just particular, it's the best for AI, it's just the best for building apps. Okay, just built an ML agent for predicting company earnings. Cool, that's awesome. That's what you should be thinking about. Calendar feature on Polymarket, can't wait until they get an API. Yeah, I mean, like a cool thing about Polymarket is you don't need an API, right? You can go talk to the smart contracts on Polygon. Like The cool thing about when you build an app on blockchain is you're not waiting for some gated person to create an API and give you access. The fact that it exists on a blockchain means anybody can interface with it. You can go straight to the contracts and talk to the contracts. You can build an app on it. You can build a different front end. I was talking about the Gnosis Safe earlier. Someone really needs to build a better Gnosis Safe front end. The safe exists and it's some heady code, but it's lindy as hell and there's lots of money in it. It works fine. But damn, I wish I had a really smooth front end that ran on top of that. And anyone can do that anywhere. It just someone has to sit and build it. Okay, question regarding oracles. In your experience, what's the bigger pitfall of oracles that people don't realize for the first time? Well, I think that like the first time you build an oracle, you just like run something on your machine, right? Let's say it's an oracle that needs to check in every night and maybe roll your logs, maybe compound your interest. Let's say you have a financial platform and you need an oracle to get in and compound your interest. All it needs to do is just make sure it runs every night, right? The thing needs to run, right? It's a cron job. If you're building a cron job in Web 2, that's basically just a machine that's programmed to run a thing at night. That doesn't work on Web 3. And you may set it up to be just one machine checking in, but eventually that machine's going to fall over. That machine's going to have connectivity issues. Something is going to happen, and that thing's going to have some downtime. Decentralized apps have to have zero downtime, no downtime. It can't go down, right? And so when you're building an Oracle, a lot of times the biggest challenge is zero downtime. And even if you have 10 different setups in 10 different locations, if it's still just a thing that runs on your machine, there's eventually going to be some downtime. Maybe all those machines have the same OS. Maybe all those machines, have some similar vulnerability. You need to build something that won't go down because millions of people can get to it and push the button to make it work. And that's the thing. If you need your interest to compound every night, basically you write a smart contract that says anyone in the world can push this button and they can only push it once every 24 hours. And whoever pushes it, this is the most important part, gets paid. There needs to be an incentive there to push the button. And if there's the correct incentives and everyone has the code and it's open source and it's easy to get to and easy to understand, lots of people will deploy button pushers. And even if all of your button pushers are down, someone's button pusher will be up to push the button and get paid. And that's a critical thing about oracles. Wow, there's lots of questions. I may not get to any building. Let's see. Let me get some of this going just in case. Cursor. We should maybe even just build the voting app while we're here. I don't think I could build the agent in enough time, but this idea of this like agent that runs and you can set some command. Let's just do it real quick. Just real quick, let me show yarn deploy. Okay, so Scaffold starts with you've got your contract here. It's just like a basic smart contract, and then you'll have a front end at localhost 3000. And this front end lets you poke around at your contract right away, right? So let's say we have some string public command to run, right? Let's say we had some script that's running in the cloud and we want to control the command that script runs. So I'm going to say command that runs, and it's just going to be we'll set it to blank. Oh, wait, actually, that was really cool. Yeah, LSLA. That's great, right? It's going to list everything, right? And then you need some like function that says set command to run, right? And it lets. Now, would we want to let everyone set the command to run? Probably not, right? We would probably want to have an owner, but now it's really centralized. What you really want is like a market around it, right? So maybe we have this unit 256 cost to run or something like that. And we set that to like 0.001 ether, right? And then we make this payable, right? And then it was doing it. I don't want to write the code. You write the code. Great. We basically say, did they send in enough money to run this cost? Now what we're going to do is make it more expensive. Each time they run this, we're going to make the cost to run equal cost to run times, I want it to go up like a percentage, right? Now I can't just do 0.01, right? It doesn't work like that in Solidity. What I need to do is something like 101 divided by 100, right? So the cost to run is going to go up by 1% each time someone runs it. and anyone can set the command to run. So you could say like RMRF, right? Which would be pretty bad. But that's how this works, right? There's like a marketplace. Then what we would need to do is build, let's just go ahead and deploy this contract and let's go play around with it, right? So we yarn deploy. This is the scaffolding front end that it comes with automatically. Let's see, make a front end that lets someone pay to set the command to run, right? And we're going to add, let's see, let's add the your contract in here. And there's probably some like page, and I think it already knows about this stuff, but I'm going to be really explicit about it and send it. Okay, now I could have also just like YOLO this and say, make a smart contract that does this and have the front end also do it. Like this thing will one-shot apps for you, but I kind of wanted to write this out just to show it. And I even want to tinker with it a little bit. When we go to the debug contracts page, Scaffold ETH has this really nice debug contracts page, right? So here's our contract to run. If we wanted to set the string to RM-RF, we're going to have to pay for it. So we need to get the cost to run is this, right? Really weird. If you haven't seen ETH to weigh yet, that's something that you need to explore. But 0.001, we take that times 10 to the 18. If you don't know why that is, go look at ETH to weigh. TLDR, the EVM doesn't want to mess around with floating point math. So we do this like multiply by 18 decimals on the way in and divide by 18 decimals on the way out. It gives you decimal-like math without having to do floating point math. Okay, here's the other thing. When you need ETH to execute, you're going to need to go to the faucet. And also, I don't have a wallet connected here. Scaffold ETH will do all of the wallet connect stuff that you need, but out of the box, it's using burner wallets. So I've got this burner wallet that was generated for me on page load. I've just hit the button from the faucet to load it up with a bunch of ETH. And now I can go run this command. I can set the command and I can pay the money, right? There we go. So I just set the command. So now all of this swarm of agents that are out there are running RMRF and they're deleting everything on their machine. And the cost to run just went up 1%, right? If I want to, maybe do an LS instead, or I want to do a like node evaluate, right? Run some command. I'm going to have to pay 1% more, and I pay that. So now all of the AI agents are doing this. So you can see what we're doing here. We're creating almost like a little registry of what information is really important that all these agents need to have. And we have a little marketplace along with it where the value goes up. And we were able to write that code very quickly right here. And we didn't even need to write it ourselves. We could have had the AI write it, but then we can get in here and we can dink around and make sure it does everything we need to do. Then we kind of gave it a one shot over here. Let's see if it made us, look at this. It made a nice front end for us. So now we could, right now the current command is node evaluate. And if we want to do ls-la, and look at this, got the pay command. Look at that, we just paid money and we set it to ls-la. Or maybe we want to set it to node run something, right? Now watch, this current command is going to update. We built the whole front end in one shot, and you can do that with like the whole smart contract and everything. And then you can still have this like nice debug panel where you can get in and dink around with it. Something really interesting is happening here. This smart contract has $18 in it now, right? There's like this market, there's this money that's coming up, right? So now you're going to need to figure out, what do we do with this money? What do we do with this treasury? How does this work? A lot of really cool stuff happening here. Scaffold ETH lets you do this out of the box. And then when you're ready, let's say we want to put this on base, you do yarn deploy -- network. Ooh, mainnet, let's do it. And then base. And it's going to have you're going to need to generate an account. Maybe let's do that. Yarn generate. I'm going to need to generate an account real quick. What do I have here? I'm going to need to encrypt it with a really terrible password. I'm going to need to fund it real quick, right? Let's throw some money in this thing. Hopefully that works. There we go. All right, let's send some base ETH to this thing, right? This address. We need some base ETH. There we go. 0.01. Oh, that's way too much. 0.001. That's still too much. That should be enough. There we go. It's going to be less than 92 cents to deploy this. Like I said before, stop using test nets. Just start YOLOing your stuff to base. One thing we don't need is the console logs. I'm going to tell this to take out any console log in the contract. Just so, oh, well, no, don't revert. No. Yep. And it basically, I could have just deleted this line myself, but I probably have some answers, some questions to answer here. Hardest. Oh man, there's a lot of questions here. In your view, let's see, let's make sure I got all of them. The last one was the Oracle question. Okay, do you think you'll need agent-specific token standards in the future? I think the 8004 is a great standard. I don't know about agent token standards. Maybe there's more to it, but I would think that ERC 20, I mean, who knows? Who knows? You guys are the ones that are building the future. Maybe there does need to be a token standard that I don't even understand yet that is tailored to AI agents. I don't know if I can answer that question. You should answer that question. In your view, what is the hardest tech challenge for Ethereum to overcome in order to fully unlock the potential of AI agents? I don't know. I think that like L1 needs to scale. Like straight up, like L1 needs to be faster and cheaper. I hate that like I have to deploy all this stuff to an L2 all the time because it's too expensive to deploy to an L1. Like our L1 needs to be faster and cheaper. I think uh, L2s are great and they're working great and base is awesome. And I'm like so glad for it because it's going to bring a lot of mainstream adoption. And I'm deploying this thing to base right now. But I think also the L1 needs to scale. I think Ethereum itself needs to scale. So I would say that's probably the biggest tech that needs to change. On top of that, another thing Coinbase is doing really well is smart contract wallets. I think that typical users aren't going to mess around with a 12-word seed phrase. We need to be able to fingerprint in and make a transaction. Porto and the smart contract wallet from Base, both of those are doing this, and I think that will bring mainstream adoption. So basically, scale the L1 and make wallets where I just have to fingerprint in and I don't have to worry about 12-word seed phrases. Do you believe agents will rely more on off-chain ML? Yes, the ML is going to be off-chain that is on-chain verified, right? The models will be off-chain, but there will probably be check-ins with the models that let you verify on-chain that the correct model is used and it's doing the correct thing, but the actual compute will happen off-chain. Yeah, you definitely don't want to do the compute on in the EVM. That's way too much. Okay, awesome. Yes, I think that's all the questions. Let's see. Let's go deploy this thing. I have like no time left, but let's deploy this to base. Let's go. I have 3 minutes left. Oh, what was my password? There we go. Okay, so now it's putting the smart contract on base. Who knows if it actually did the console log thing? I didn't even check in on it, but our smart contract is on base. This is so cool. Okay, so what I need to do is go to the scaffold config and I need to point my app. Right now, my app is pointed at hard hat. It needs to point to base and hit save. And there we go. Now we have this app, and if I do yarn IPFS or yarn Vercel, it's going to deploy my front end to a public server and anyone can get to it. So right now it's putting my app, it already put my app on base. Let's see, can I do a yarn verify network base? Let's see if that works too. But the smart contract is on base. If we go here, we connect our wallet. Let me connect my Rainbow in. Yes. Wrong network switched. Oh no, it died. Oh no. What? Oh, it's because I'm doing the front end now. Yeah, shoot. Okay, now I'm deploying it to IPFS. Let's see if this gets done in time. Okay, no, it didn't. Yarn start. Let's get our front end back up here. Okay, yes, let's go to our front end. So you Yarn IPFS, Yarn Vercel, you put your app live. So basically we were able to, in like 20 minutes there, like one shot a smart contract with an app, deploy it live to base, and then deploy the front end. The front end's not fully deployed, but you'll need to Yarn IPFS or Yarn Vercel. It takes like 5 minutes to deploy to Vercel. I don't have time for that. So I'm just going to run this on localhost. But let's connect our wallet. Oh no, let's go with Rainbow here. Let's connect our wallet in. Okay, and let's do I have to pay? I'm actually going to pay some money here. Let's see. Let's RM-RF because it's hilarious. We're going to tell our nodes. Now, of course, you would need to also one-shot like a VM script, right? What I would do is I would pull up Cloud and Cursor. I would say I would make a clean project with just VM, and I would say use VM to write a script that checks into this smart contract at this address, looks at the command that needs to run, runs the command, and then sends the output to the smart contract. Something like that. Like that would be my basic prompt. I'd probably iterate on it a little bit, but that's basically what I would do to have this thing run. Oh, I need to switch my network to base, I guess. I mean, there we go. All right, I'm going to pay. This is going to lock money up. This is really dumb that I'm doing this. what is this, like $4 I'm about to lock up? This is stupid. Don't do this normally. But yeah, I'm about to pay like $4. Oh no, no. Oh, the fee is less, but yeah, I'm sending $4. This is stupid. I'm locking $4 up in this contract forever. This is really dumb to do, but it's a great live demo. I'm going to set the command to rm-rf in the contract. I just made an actual transaction on base. The command is now rm-rf. My bots are out there. I just burned $5. I feel dumb for doing that, but that's how it works sometimes. That's why you should not be using a testnet. You should be using base live. Just set your prices different. That cost me like a fraction of a cent to do that transaction. And then I paid the 0.001 because it was just a stupid value that I put in the smart contract. I could have changed this amount right here to be a lot less, and I could have run everything on base, and it would have cost me like a fraction of a cent to make like 1,000 transactions. Okay, I'm an idiot. You should go use Scaffold ETH to build something at this virtuals hackathon. Go to Speedrun Ethereum. Exactly what you said. I share the same sentiment. Cool. Heck yeah. Check me out. I'm Austin Griffith on Twitter. I'm this dude. Let me find me. I'm this guy. Go follow me on Twitter. DMs are open. I'm this dude with this face. Hit me up if you have any questions. Check out the Build Guild. Check out Scaffold ETH. Check out Speedrun Ethereum. Go build something awesome for the Virtuals Hackathon. Thank you, Matthew, for having me. I got a jet. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Boop, 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 boop.
Thanks so much, Austin. It was honestly great having you here. I think everyone appreciated your energy as well. So yeah, good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. Go build something awesome. Build something that people use. Get people using it on chain. Let's go. See you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Austin. Catch you next time. All right. Thanks guys for tuning in. I think for those who had to drop halfway and stuff, we'll be posting a recording soon as well, so you can share with your friends who missed it. Our next workshop will be happening same time, same day next week. So I hope to see you there. In the meantime, best of luck building and looking forward to your submissions. Any questions you have, please, post them in our TG chat. We'll get back to you. Yeah, thanks so much. Have a good day, good night. See you.